As I mentioned before, the most common mistake is to have your thumb slip from the hammer in the middle of the draw. Now, this always happens because of one of three things or a combination thereof. Number one, either the angle of approach is wrong, or two, the contact point on your thumb is wrong, or number three, the line of force that you're applying is wrong. So we're going to look at all three, and I'll switch camera angles here in a minute so that you can get a better look at what's going on. But let me show you just generally, again, along the line of thought of pulling the gun out. The natural tendency is to want to approach the hammer from below and to come up to it, hooking it here with the pad of the thumb. And this is about the surest way to get that thumb to slip from the hammer and not get it all the way back, because, well, I don't know about you, but my thumb doesn't really work well this way. It works this way. Okay? So we want to have a natural motion of our thumb as our hand closes around the gun. Some folks have pretty good success hitting the hammer with the joint of the thumb, right in the crease of the first joint. This doesn't seem to work for me. In the traditional Hollywood fast draw, we start with our hand well clear of the gun, and for me that means hitting the hammer with the ball of the thumb, and most of the time it either slips to the outside, or if I do get the hammer back that way, it leaves my hand in the wrong position when the gun is drawn. I find that the best place for me to contact the hammer is actually inside the first joint of the thumb. I'm going to be contacting the hammer here. Okay, this way I can roll my thumb over the hammer in a natural motion, leave my hand in the right position for a good grip. And like I said, I'll change camera angles again in here, but by contacting it way in here, this is the motion that I get over the hammer. All right, not this way, but this way. All right. Now, in no circumstance is the approach up. The actual line of force has to be about along the line of the backstrap of the gun. So it's going to be much more back than it is up. Okay. The other thing is that it's not actually the thumb that cocks the gun. It's the motion of your entire arm against a tensioned thumb. Yeah, the thumb's the lever that hits the hammer, but it's the momentum and motion of your arm that actually cocks the gun. Okay, this way as you close your hand around the gun. Okay, move this up a little bit closer here so you can see. Again, we're going to contact on the inside here, and we're going to use the entire arm to come back to cock the gun in a motion that moves along the line of the back strap of the gun. Remember, we can't approach it from below. We have to start in front and just a hair low. And remember, the traditional draw starts with your hand open. In World Fast Draw, you can start as close to the gun as you want as long as you're not touching it. In Cowboy Fast Draw, you can start with your hand actually on the gun. They call that the lawman ready position. That's actually the most realistic. But if you're going to start with your hand clear of the gun, you have to remember to be in front of the hammer and not coming up this way to it, so that you're going to come back and then pull off the hammer and close your hand around the grip. Now watch where my hand ends up if I don't close my hand. See, straight across the back of the gun, like that. So that's the motion that's actually being used to cock the hammer. Now you say, well, what if I don't start in the Hollywood ready position like this? What if I have my arms relaxed? Well, in that case, what I want you to think of is rolling up and over the top, so that after you contact that hammer, again, the motion follows this line and not this line, because otherwise you will most definitely lose the hammer. So even if you start way out here, you still have to roll back over the backstrap of the gun that way to get the hammer back as you close your hand. Now I realize from this angle you won't be able to see quite as much because my hand in the starting position is going to cover the gun just a little bit. But I want you to see what's happening as the thumb strikes the hammer. It actually starts the gun out of the holster as you grab. As you start to speed it up, this is what's happening. You're almost knocking the gun out of the holster with the thumb. So the force is straight along this line, but the rotation of the hammer converts some of it to an upward motion, which actually starts the draw just as your hand is beginning to close. Watch close. I have to do this fairly quickly to get it to happen so that you can see it, but if I had lighter springs I'd probably be able to do it slower, but it's going to be like this. See? One more time. I'll try and do it slower this time. Well, see, I lost it that time. You know what? Let's leave that in there. One more time. Okay, so you can see that the striking of the hammer actually initiates the drawing motion. We always want to get it inside that knuckle of the thumb, getting a nice even grip, proper grip as we come back out of the holster. The second most common mistake that happens during the draw is to close your hand all at once and get to the trigger too soon. And of course you can see how dangerous that would be. It is a natural thing to want to close your hand all at once, and then of course this happens. Alright, so what you have to do is, like I say, you're keeping tension in your thumb. You want to generally keep your hands as relaxed as possible, but a little extra tension in that trigger finger isn't going to hurt, because you want to make sure that as you come back and grab the gun, that trigger finger stays well outside of the trigger guard until that gun is on its way forward. Now you can come in and get on the trigger and fire, okay? So it has to really be second nature. You have to kind of stall the procedure instead of trying to do the whole draw at once. You really want to get that hammer back and stop and make sure that your finger is outside of that trigger before you start coming forward, okay? That's extremely important. So now that we have the hammer and trigger taken care of, we can talk about the actual motion of the draw itself, because as you saw, the striking of the hammer is what actually starts the draw.